Maps for you to fall asleep. Map of drug cartels in Mexico. Wow, these are like separate states in the country. And there's so many of them, and they're everywhere basically. Even in Cancun, in the place where all of the tourists go, where all the Americans go. Mexico needs to take care of it. Peak of the largest empires in history. The Mongol Empire was crazy big actually. From Southeast Asia, all the way to Central Europe. That is crazy actually. But the British Empire was even bigger. I would say massively bigger than Mongol Empire. The British Empire had Canada, Australia, so much of Africa, India, and some other random places. That is really impressive that they managed to control so much land in different parts of the world. Countries that had people displayed at zoos. So the people displayed were ethnic and racial groups, and it happened in the USA, in Europe, in India, and in Japan. My main question is just why? What is the reason? Fertility rates in South Korea. That is actually horrible. This country is dying, unfortunately. So let me just tell you, the replacement rate is 2.1 to keep the same population. 2.1. 2.1, and South Korea is not even achieving 1.0 in any region. This is scary, and South Korea needs more people. Limits of the world known to the Romans. Okay, so the Romans knew that Europe existed, Western Europe to be specific. They knew about Northern Africa, India, Middle East. It was in around 150 AD, but my question is now, if you know that this land here, for example, is here, right? Then why would you not go further to explore it fully? Till you see an ocean or something? That's a valid question. Map of the world if all ice melted. So the east coast of the US would be gone, absolutely gone. Florida fully underwater. Even New Orleans here, west coast would be fine, but there would be a massive lake in California. That's quite cool actually, I think. South America isn't looking too bad. Africa would look literally the same. Well, almost. Europe is looking pretty bad to be honest. So much of the UK would be gone. The Netherlands would be fully gone. Asia's looking much different too. The eastern part of China would be gone, and Australia would have a massive lake. Maybe it would make the middle part of Australia more habitable. So that wouldn't be a bad thing to be honest. Requirements of entry to Japan. So it's visa free for all of the Western countries basically. Some countries get it for 6 months though. Germany, Austria and Switzerland. And even Mexico. Wow, that's nice. It's visa free for most of South America as well. And for some countries in Southeast Asia. Citizens of this country are not allowed to enter Japan. And it's North Korea. Well, that's not really surprising, is it? Number of males per 100 females. So in the US and Canada, it's almost evenly split. Especially in Canada, it's 99 males per 100 females. In most countries in Europe, there are more females than males too. Apart from Sweden and Norway, where you get more men than women. Asia definitely has more men, especially because India and China have massive populations. But there is no country where it's evenly split. Australia and Canada are the closest. Average speed of trains in Europe. So trains are the fastest in Spain and France. And I have to confirm, I've been on the train in Spain and France. They both have very nice trains. I was really impressed. In the UK, the trains are not that fast, which I sadly have to agree with. Even the German trains are faster than British trains. And trains are not exactly known to be amazing in Germany. The more east we go, the slower the trains get. They only go 27.6 kilometers an hour in Albania. That's actually crazy because you could ride a bike faster. Genuinely. Explaining Polish borders. So we get a lot of ugly Soviet lines, but then we get nice river borders. And I agree, I really like river borders. Just because they make sense. They really do. And the mountain borders kind of make sense too. Kind of depends on the mountain, I would say. So I would say the best borders are shaped by history. I'm glad European countries are not squared like US states. Most foreign nationals in each Japanese region. So we get a lot of Chinese people in the north of Japan. But as we go south, it kind of changes. We get a lot of people from Brazil, which is very interesting, I think. Just because Chinese people in Japan kind of make sense, then why do Brazilian people come to Japan? That's really interesting, actually. And then we get some South Koreans as well, which makes sense because South Korea is pretty close. And then in these islands here, we get Americans. There must be a US military base, I believe. Brazil overlaid onto Europe. That's crazy. I knew Brazil is massive, but now you can really see how big it actually is. It's literally bigger than all of Europe, apart from Russia. Brazil really is a massive country. That is crazy. Which new language would you like to learn? So they are asking young people between 15 and 30, and most of Europe just wants to learn Spanish. Just because recently everyone wants to move to Spain, and Spain is getting very, very expensive. It's kind of the same that's happening to Florida in the US. But Spanish people want to learn German actually, which makes sense. I think German is really useful in Europe. If you speak German, you can live in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. But Czech and Lithuanian people wanted to feel very different, and they said that they want to learn French. Wow, very unique. And I mean, French is useful, don't get me wrong, but I would still pick German if I had to choose between German and French. Personally, I would love to learn Spanish too. And I've tried, but I failed every single time. How many cities with 100,000 people does each state have? So they count cities with 100,000 people and more. 79 in California, that is a lot. That is a lot actually, that's quite crazy. Texas has 42, but Texas is quite big, so that makes sense I would say. 27 in Florida, which makes sense as well I would say. There is not a single city that has 100,000 people in West Virginia. So are there only towns in West Virginia? Well, apparently. Same with Wyoming, but Wyoming makes sense just because it's so empty. What is the minimum voting age in Europe? So most countries agree that people should vote at 18. However, some countries wanted to be different, such as Germany, Austria, and Belgium. And they were like, we will let 16-year-old people vote, which is fair enough, you know. But the one country that wanted to be even more unique is Greece. They said we will let people vote at 17. Why? Why not 16? Why not 18? Why do you want to be unique for no reason? The income a family needs to live comfortably in the US. So in Massachusetts, you need over $300,000 a year to live comfortably as a family. That's crazy. I knew Massachusetts was expensive, but that's crazy actually. That's even more than California. In California, you only need 277k, which still is a lot of money. It's even more in Hawaii. In Hawaii, it's almost 300,000. The figure is the lowest in Mississippi, but it's still 178,000. That is a lot of money. I know the US is expensive, but that's just horrible. Just because most American families do not make this kind of money. Percentage of vegetarians per country in Europe. So 12% of Sweden's population are vegetarians. Same with Finland is 12% as well. It's 10 in Germany, 10 in Austria, 10 in the UK. So these are quite high figures. But if you look at Southern Europe, Spain especially, nobody is vegetarian. It's only 1.4%, which is nothing basically. And it's even lower in Portugal, 1.2. Those countries have amazing meat though, so I'm really not surprised. I mean, just any kind of ham is so delicious in Spain. It's hard to be a vegetarian. And no one is a vegetarian in Russia either, and Belarus. Thank you for watching. Check out my other videos.